They're certainly gettable. It'll be an interesting one if Port and Melbourne play, in terms of their ball use from Port and what they're able to do, but Melbourne's system and their defensive system. So most teams play on really quick against Melbourne, and that's how they want it.
We'll move on to Melbourne and Brisbane, another game that we thought, like the Port Geelong game, might be a little bit closer than it was. It looked as if, Melbourne are a very defensive team and Brisbane are obviously a very attacking team. It was almost two polar philosophies coming up against each other. How did you see how that game played out?
Yeah, look, Melbourne are the best defensive unit and fourth best in attack, aren't they? And Brisbane are clearly capable of kicking 100 points, is what they have many, many times this year. But I wouldn't underestimate McStay in terms of the structure, what he's able to do. McStay goes out, Hipwood's not there. I think Brisbane have won 14. They're 14-4 with McStay playing. So structurally, he's very, very capable. While he might not be a household name, he's 7th in the league at contested marking. So what he does is he takes a really good defender away. So I think, whether or not, it's Cockatoo, Danaher, what do? Do they push Andrews back, who's an All-Australian centre-half back? Do they push him up front now? Because he looked a little bit disinterested, which was unusual for him on the weekend. They've got Archie Smith, who could be a backup ruckman, which pushes McInerney forward. Or do they go small and with Berry and they rejig a few things around that way? But yeah, a few headaches for Fagan, no doubt about that. No doubt. But Lachie Neale was superb, 46 touches, and Zorko was well held. And then clearly, when you look at the other side, it's Oliver Petrarca, Viney, Langdon, 19 contested possessions. Oliver set the game up really well. And they kept Brisbane to 45 inside 50s. So they limited their opportunity, and they were able to grind away and really their ball use and hunger and hunt, 13 goals, 7 off turnover, which is just enormous from Melbourne. So beaten up inside, which would be a bit of a worry for Fagan. I'm sure he'll look at that, but they finished top 4 for a reason. Brisbane, they get a final up there against the Bulldogs. Midfield's really, really strong from both camps. Depending what they do up front is going to be a talking point, I think, for Brisbane.
Chris Fagan said before the game that they wouldn't be tagging Petrarca or Oliver, and that would be plan B. And obviously Petrarca and Oliver were probably the two best players on the ground. Neale was obviously in there too, but they had a profound impact on the result of the game. Do you think that he's going to have to consider, possibly putting some time into some of the Bulldogs midfielders next week?
Yeah, potentially. I mean, at times tagging can be funny. You might win the battle but lose the war. Melbourne clearly would have seen Neale as having a significant influence, but are you going to let Petrarca and Oliver and Viney, Langdon on the wing in terms of what in their game and their system, and generally with that it can be scoreboard. I guess scoreboard focused. Surprised in terms of Oliver and not more teams going after him, giving his influence. But it's you want to play your own game. The horse had probably bolted a little bit by then to jump on his back. But the prime movers, particularly Oliver, in there. And you can't tag them all, but. I think on the other side with Neale as well, they knew he was accumulating the ball and having an influence, but it didn't concern them because the scoreboard wasn't going not in their favour. So I think they were quite happy with that.
On the flip side, as you said, Dane Zorko, didn't have much impact. He had 20 touches, didn't kick a goal, and I don't think he actually had a score involvement for the game, which is, I think he leads the competition for that. So what did you see Melbourne in terms of how they shut Zorko down?
Yeah, look, they I think it was a good move by tagging him. I mean, you look at his numbers, 0 scoring involvements. He kicks, what do you have, 3 inside 50s, averages 7 or 8. And he went 60% by foot. So they clearly put him under a lot of pressure with that. So again, a prime mover, and you're able to throw one onto him. Take Neil away, McCluggage 24, Lyons 27, Robinson 25. But clearly the midfield was well and truly won by Melbourne. Contested possession tells you that in terms of what they were able to do between the arcs. Plus 17 they ended up, and again restricting to Brisbane to 45 opportunities was significant, and it started in the middle.
Melbourne are obviously the flag favourites. What do you think is something that can stop them going all the way? Is it mental? Is it system based? What can stop them from winning the flag this year?
Well, you got to try and break them down, don't you? Lever and they get so set up and they're defensively sound behind the ball with Lever and May. Petty's playing a really good role there since Tomlinson's gone out. So we know what Salem can do with the ball. But you've really got to get your hands dirty early with them, get your field position, try and set your defence up as best as you can. And you've got to go at them. You've got to go at them quick. We saw that during the year with Adelaide where they played Melbourne over there and they were able to change angles on the ball, shift and move. Melbourne like to keep a lot of speed in the game to keep you active. So they set their defence up and they have a heap of pressure at the source, hoping you just kick it long, where Lever and May and Co can set up, and then they pounce off that and bounce pretty strong. So I feel if you can change the angles on Melbourne, you're able to get your hands dirty, which is difficult against a really good side with Gawn giving them first use. But they're certainly gettable. It'll be an interesting one if Port and Melbourne play, in terms of their ball use from Port and what they're able to do, but Melbourne's system and their defensive system. So most teams play on really quick against Melbourne, and that's how they want it. I think you clearly the contested ball, the territory, the clearance battle, and you clearly got to be able to use the ball well from back to front.